The cold welcome. The Pinnacle Hotel stood like a beacon of opulence, its sleek glass exterior glistening in the afternoon sun. Its modern architectural lines contrasted sharply with the historic buildings that dotted the city around it, a testament to luxury, exclusivity, and tradition. Maya Holloway stepped out of a black luxury sedan, her tailored navy suit fitting her like a second skin. Everything about her exuded power, her stride, her presence, her confidence. She was a woman in her late 30s who had built her empire from the ground up, rising from humble beginnings to become a billionaire real estate mogul. Yet, despite her success, Maya couldn't shake the familiar feeling that settled over her as she approached the grand hotel entrance. Behind her, Alicia Carter, Maya's longtime assistant and closest confidant, followed with the luggage. Alicia was sharp, impeccably dressed, and fiercely loyal. She had been with Maya since the early days when their makeshift office had been Maya's kitchen table, long before the billion-dollar deals, luxury cars, or penthouse apartments. Together, they had faced every challenge and celebrated every triumph. "You sure everything's in order?" Maya asked as they reached the hotel's revolving doors. Alicia smiled, her tone both calming and confident. "Absolutely. I triple-checked the reservation myself. You're their VIP guest for the entire week." Maya nodded, though the unease in her chest lingered. The Pinnacle Hotel had a reputation for catering to the world's wealthiest and most influential people. Maya was certainly one of them now, but her past experiences had taught her not to get too comfortable. Despite her fortune, her influence, and her power, she was still a black woman. And some doors, literal or figurative, opened slower for her than they did for others. As they stepped into the opulent lobby, Maya took in the sight. High ceilings, glittering chandeliers, and soft classical music lent the space an air of old-world luxury, while the polished marble floors and contemporary furniture hinted at modern sensibilities. Yet, despite the grandeur, there was something colder beneath the surface. Maya could feel it in the way the receptionist's gaze lingered on her for just a moment too long, in the whispers exchanged by the well-dressed guests nearby. Alicia approached the front desk, her voice professional and confident. "We have a reservation under Holloway. Maya Holloway." The receptionist, a young woman with carefully styled hair and a crisp uniform, hesitated for a fraction of a second before typing on her computer. Her expression was polite, but Maya caught the flicker of discomfort that crossed her features. "1 moment, please," the receptionist muttered, her fingers moving over the keyboard with practiced speed. Maya had been here before, this quiet hesitation, the sudden search for something that should be a simple confirmation. She watched as the receptionist's face stiffened. "I'm not seeing a reservation under that name," she said, her voice growing more formal. Maya's stomach tightened, though her expression remained calm. She had been through this too many times. The mix-up, the delay, the sudden unavailability of something she had already confirmed. Alicia's brow furrowed as she stepped forward. "There must be a mistake. I confirmed the reservation weeks ago," Alicia said, her voice firm but polite. The receptionist shifted uncomfortably before picking up the phone. Her voice dropped into a whisper as she spoke to someone on the other end. After a few moments, a tall, silver-haired man in an immaculate suit approached. His expression was professionally neutral, though Maya could sense the guarded tension behind his smile. "Good afternoon. I'm Robert Finch, the hotel manager. I understand there's an issue with your reservation." His tone was polite, but there was a subtle edge to it that Maya recognized all too well. Maya met his gaze, her voice calm but unwavering. "It appears there is." Finch offered a tight smile. "There seems to have been a misunderstanding. Unfortunately, we won't be able to accommodate you today. Our suites are fully booked." Alicia blinked, her eyes wide with disbelief. "That's impossible. We confirmed this weeks ago. You have." Maya raised a hand, silencing her assistant gently. She didn't need to hear the excuses. She had heard them all before. This wasn't about overbooking. This was about who she was, about what she looked like, And Maya Holloway wasn't about to waste energy fighting a battle she had already fought too many times before. "Thank you for your time, Mr. Finch," she said, her voice steady and cool. "I'll make other arrangements." For a moment, Finch seemed taken aback by her calmness, as though he had expected her to argue or cause a scene. But Maya simply turned and walked out of the hotel, her head held high. Alicia hurried after her, her face flushed with indignation. "This is outrageous," Alicia fumed as they exited the grand lobby. "You can't just let them get away with this. We should go to the press or call a lawyer." "Alicia," Maya said softly, stopping in her tracks. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on her, but she refused to let it show. "I've fought this battle my whole life. Do you think this is the first time I've been denied something because of my skin color?" Alicia's anger softened into something more sorrowful. "But you shouldn't have to keep fighting like this, Maya. You're a billionaire. You've earned every bit of your success." Maya's expression remained calm, but her eyes burned with quiet determination. "I know. And that's exactly why I can't fight them on their terms. They want me to react. They want a spectacle. But I won't give them the satisfaction." Alicia nodded, though the frustration still simmered beneath the surface. "So what now?" Maya's lips curved into a faint smile, her mind already turning. Now we regroup. We'll find another hotel for tonight. But this isn't over. The Pinnacle will learn who they just turned away." As they drove away from the Pinnacle, Maya's mind was already working. She had spent her entire career breaking down barriers, proving she belonged in spaces where people like her were often not welcomed. And this wouldn't be any different. The Pinnacle Hotel had denied her a room. But Maya Holloway wasn't someone who settled for being denied. If they wouldn't accept her as a guest, she would return as something else entirely. That night, as she sat in a different, far less grand, but much more welcoming hotel, Maya stared out over the city skyline. A new plan was forming in her mind. The Pinnacle had no idea who they were dealing with. Maya smiled to herself as the spark of an idea began to take shape. "Let's see how they feel when I'm the one signing their paychecks," she whispered, the fire of determination glowing in her eyes, a plan in motion. The quiet of the modest hotel room was a far cry from the grand halls of the Pinnacle, but Maya Holloway didn't mind. Seated at the small wooden desk by the window, she sipped her morning coffee, her laptop glowing before her. She had barely slept the night before, but not from anger or frustration. Instead, it was her mind racing with possibilities. The rejection at the Pinnacle had sparked something within her, a new fire, a renewed purpose. She wasn't going to let this insult slide. Not because it was personal, but because this was bigger than her. Maya had spent years mastering the art of business strategy. Her success wasn't built on talent alone. It was the result of careful planning, an eye for opportunity, and the ability to turn obstacles into stepping stones. This time would be no different. Her fingers moved deftly over the keyboard, pulling up detailed reports on the Pinnacle Hotel. As a real estate magnate, Maya had long since learned the value of knowing her competition. While the Pinnacle hadn't been on her radar for acquisition before, it was now. With a few clicks, she accessed the hotel's ownership structure, financial statements, and corporate holdings. The Pinnacle was privately owned, part of an investment portfolio managed by a company whose primary focus was luxury properties. The hotel itself was a historic landmark in the city, and while it was successful, Maya could already see the cracks in its foundation. She leaned back in her chair, her eyes narrowing in thought. The Pinnacle's business model was built on exclusivity, catering to a clientele that prided itself on tradition and status. It had weathered economic downturns because it positioned itself as a sanctuary for the elite, immune to the fluctuations of the world outside its gilded doors. But that was also its weakness. The world was changing, and the Pinnacle wasn't keeping up. It was stuck in an old-world mindset, the kind that valued exclusion over inclusion. And that, Maya knew, was where her opportunity lay. Alicia knocked lightly on the door before stepping in, holding 2 cups of coffee. I figured you'd still be at it, she said with a smile, handing one to Maya. Thanks, Maya replied, taking the cup gratefully. I've been doing some digging on the Pinnacle. They're not as impenetrable as they seem. Alicia raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What are you thinking? Maya's eyes gleamed with determination. I'm thinking that their refusal to host me was a mistake, and I'm going to make sure they understand just how big of a mistake it was. Alicia sat on the edge of the bed, listening intently as Maya laid out her plan. The Pinnacle Hotel wasn't just a building, it was a symbol. And like all symbols, it was vulnerable to change. Maya didn't just want to buy the hotel. She wanted to transform it, to make it a place where exclusivity wasn't based on the color of your skin or your background, but on your achievements and contributions to the world. A place where success was celebrated in all its forms, and where people like her wouldn't have to question whether they were truly welcome. But first, she had to gain control. The hotel is part of a portfolio, Maya explained, owned by a private investment group. They have several properties under their management, but the Pinnacle is one of their crown jewels. If I can secure a controlling interest in the group, I can take over the Pinnacle from the inside. Alicia's eyes widened. You want to buy the whole group? Maya nodded. It's the only way to ensure real change. If I just buy the hotel, they'll still operate under the same management, with the same policies. But if I acquire the group, I can restructure everything from the top down. Alicia grinned. That's ambitious, even for you. Maya returned the smile, her mind already working through the logistics. It's ambitious, but it's possible. The group has been struggling with some of their other properties, particularly those that aren't luxury hotels. I can leverage that, offer them a way out of their financial troubles, and secure the Pinnacle in the process. For the rest of the morning, Maya and Alicia worked together, researching the investment group's holdings, identifying key stakeholders, and planning their next move. By the afternoon, Maya had assembled a detailed proposal, a carefully crafted offer that would appeal to the group's financial interests while giving her the leverage she needed to take control. The first step. The following week, Maya found herself in the sleek office of Sterling Capital, the investment firm that owned the Pinnacle Hotel. The office, like the firm, was polished and professional, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a breathtaking view of the city skyline. But Maya wasn't here for the view. She was here to negotiate. Sitting across from her was Jonathan Steele, the CEO of Sterling Capital. He was a tall, middle-aged man with sharp features and an even sharper mind. Maya had done her research. Steele was known for his ruthless business acumen, but he was also pragmatic. He valued profit above all else, and that was where Maya saw her opportunity. I've reviewed your proposal, Steele said, leaning back in his leather chair. His tone was neutral, but Maya could sense the interest beneath the surface. It's compelling, but why the Pinnacle? Of all the properties in our portfolio, that one is our most successful. Maya met his gaze, her expression calm and confident. The Pinnacle is iconic, but it's also stagnant. It's built on an outdated model of exclusivity that doesn't reflect the world we live in today. There's untapped potential there, potential I can unlock. Steele raised an eyebrow. And how do you plan to do that? Maya smiled. By transforming it into a symbol of modern success. The Pinnacle has built its brand on catering to the world's elite, but the definition of elite is changing. It's no longer just about wealth or status. It's about influence, innovation, and diversity. If we reposition the Pinnacle to reflect those values, we can attract a new generation of high-profile guests, while still maintaining its reputation for luxury. Steele studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable. And you're offering to buy a controlling interest in our group in exchange for the ability to implement these changes. Maya nodded. I'm offering you a way to not only protect your most valuable asset, but to grow it in a way that ensures its relevance for the next century. There was a long silence as Steele considered her words. Maya remained calm, her confidence unwavering. She had been in negotiations like this before, and she knew that patience was key. Finally, Steele leaned forward, his hands resting on the desk. "You've got guts, Holloway. I'll give you that," he said with a faint smile. "But this is a big play. I'm not sure I'm ready to hand over the reins just yet." Maya's smile didn't waver. "You're not handing over the reins, Mr. Steele. You're partnering with someone who can take your most valuable asset and make it even more valuable. Think of this as an investment in the future." Steele leaned back again, a thoughtful look crossing his face. Maya could see the wheels turning in his mind. He was intrigued. Now she just had to close the deal. "I'll tell you what," Steele said after a long pause. "Let's see how serious you are. If you can match our valuation for the group, we'll talk about next steps." Maya nodded, her mind already calculating the numbers. Consider it done. The game begins as Maya left Sterling Capital's office, the weight of what she had just committed to settled over her. Acquiring a controlling interest in the group would require significant capital, but she had built her empire on taking calculated risks, and this was no different. The Pinnacle was more than just a hotel now. It was a symbol, a challenge, and a new chapter in her journey. Over the next few weeks, Maya worked tirelessly to secure the funding she needed. She reached out to investors, called in favors, and even dipped into her personal fortune to ensure that she could meet the valuation Steele had set. It was a massive undertaking, but Maya thrived under pressure. Throughout it all, Alicia remained by her side, coordinating meetings, managing logistics, and keeping everything on track. The two women worked late into the night, fueled by determination and the knowledge that they were on the verge of something monumental. Finally, after weeks of negotiations, planning, and sleepless nights, Maya had everything in place. She had raised the necessary capital, secured the support of key stakeholders, and prepared to make her move. As she sat in her office, staring at the contract that would give her control of Sterling Capital, and by extension, the Pinnacle Hotel, Maya allowed herself a moment of reflection. She had come a long way from the young girl who had been told that certain doors weren't meant for people like her. Now she wasn't just opening those doors, she was building them. With a deep breath, Maya signed the contract. The Pinnacle was hers. But this was only the beginning. The quiet takeover. Weeks had passed since Maya Holloway made the bold move to take control of Sterling Capital, and by extension, the Pinnacle Hotel. But even as the ink dried on the contract, her work was just beginning. It was one thing to own the Pinnacle on paper, but it was another to change the culture that had excluded her, and people like her, for so long. Maya knew that her mission wasn't just about ownership, it was about transformation. She was playing a long game, and every step mattered. The morning after the acquisition, Maya sat in her private office, a quiet space in her sleek penthouse that overlooked the city. The skyline was bathed in the soft golden light of dawn, but her thoughts were already racing. She had managed to secure control of the Pinnacle without much public attention, a calculated decision. If people knew that a black female billionaire now owned one of the most exclusive hotels in the world, the headlines would explode, and Maya wasn't ready for that. Yet, she wanted to make changes from the inside first, laying a foundation before announcing her presence. Alicia entered the office, a folder of documents in hand, her sharp eyes reflecting the same determination as Maya's. They had been through a whirlwind of meetings and negotiations in the last few weeks, but today marked the beginning of the real work. "All set?" Alicia asked, placing the folder on Maya's desk. Maya nodded, glancing at the documents before turning her chair to face the window. "The board meeting is in an hour, right?" "Everything's on schedule. We'll be introducing you as the new majority shareholder and chairwoman. I've reviewed the profiles of the board members again. Some of them might push back, especially those loyal to Steele." Maya smiled slightly, a flicker of amusement in her eyes. "Let them push. I didn't come this far to back down now." She rose from her desk, smoothing the lines of her tailored suit, her mind shifting to the task ahead. The board of Sterling Capital was comprised of some of the most influential business people in the industry, powerful, wealthy, and in many cases, resistant to change. They were part of the old guard, the kind of people who had always seen Maya as an outsider, no matter how successful she became. But today, she would no longer be on the outside looking in. Today, she was the one in charge. As she and Alicia left the penthouse and entered the elevator, Maya's thoughts drifted back to her first encounter with the Pinnacle, the moment she had been turned away under the thin veil of a reservation issue. It was a moment that could have crushed her spirit, but instead, it had ignited a fire in her. Now she was on the verge of something much bigger than personal vindication. She was about to dismantle an entire system of exclusion, brick by brick. The meeting. The boardroom of Sterling Capital was as grand and imposing as Maya had expected. A long, polished mahogany table stretched across the room, surrounded by high-backed leather chairs. Floor-to-ceiling windows provided an expansive view of the city, but the atmosphere inside the room was cold, tense. The board members sat in their seats, murmuring among themselves, their expressions ranging from curiosity to suspicion. Most of them knew why they were here. There had been whispers of a shakeup, rumors that Steele had stepped down, and that a new player was in town. But none of them knew exactly what to expect. Maya entered the room with a calm, controlled confidence, Alicia just behind her. The murmurs ceased as all eyes turned to her. For a moment, the tension was palpable. These were men and women who had made fortunes in business, who were used to wielding power. But there was an undeniable shift in the air as Maya took her seat at the head of the table. "Good morning," she began, her voice steady and composed. "As some of you may already know, I'm Maya Holloway. I'm the new majority shareholder of Sterling Capital." The ripple of surprise that followed wasn't unexpected. A few board members exchanged glances, while others leaned forward in their seats, their eyes narrowing in interest. Steele had remained deliberately vague about the details of his departure, and it was clear that many of them had not anticipated Maya's involvement. "I understand that change can be unsettling," Maya continued, her gaze sweeping the room. "But I want to make it clear that my intention is not to disrupt the company's success. My intention is to enhance it. Sterling Capital has a strong portfolio, but it also has untapped potential, particularly with the Pinnacle Hotel." At the mention of the Pinnacle, the room seemed to collectively hold its breath. Maya could see the subtle shifts in body language, the stiffening of shoulders, the tightening of jaws. The Pinnacle was their crown jewel, the one property that symbolized everything Sterling Capital stood for. Maya knew that for some of these board members, the idea of her controlling it, of a black woman owning the very institution that had historically excluded people like her, was a hard pill to swallow. One of the older board members, a man named Charles Whitaker, cleared his throat and leaned forward, his tone careful but pointed. "Ms. Holloway, we've all heard of your success in real estate, but the Pinnacle is a unique property. Its reputation is built on tradition, exclusivity, and a certain standard of clientele. What exactly are your plans for it?" Maya met his gaze evenly, her voice calm but resolute. "The Pinnacle has a rich history, yes, but history alone doesn't guarantee a future. The world is changing, and so are the expectations of the clientele you're referring to. Exclusivity is no longer about keeping people out. It's about creating an experience that people aspire to be part of. The Pinnacle needs to reflect the values of today's global leaders: innovation, diversity, and a commitment to excellence in all forms. That's how we stay relevant. That's how we thrive." Whitaker's expression remained guarded, but Maya could see the wheels turning in his mind. He wasn't convinced yet, but she knew he wasn't dismissing her either. Another board member, a woman named Eleanor Price, who had a reputation for being pragmatic and results-driven, spoke up next. "You're proposing a transformation of the Pinnacle's brand, then. How do you plan to balance that with maintaining the loyalty of its existing clientele?" Maya nodded. "Loyalty is built on trust, and trust comes from delivering on promises. I'm not suggesting we throw out the traditions that make the Pinnacle special, but we can evolve those traditions to meet the expectations of a broader, more diverse audience. This isn't about excluding anyone. It's about expanding the definition of what it means to belong. A few murmurs of agreement rippled through the room, and Maya could feel the tide beginning to turn. She had anticipated resistance, but she also knew that these were business people first and foremost. They valued results, and Maya had a track record of delivering them. Over the next hour, Maya laid out her vision for the Pinnacle. She spoke about repositioning the hotel as a hub for modern innovators and global leaders, creating exclusive events that catered to entrepreneurs, creatives, and cultural influencers. She emphasized the importance of inclusion, not as a token gesture, but as a key to long-term success. The Pinnacle would still offer luxury and exclusivity, but it would also become a place where the world's best minds could come together to exchange ideas and build the future. By the time the meeting concluded, the atmosphere in the room had shifted. The board members were no longer suspicious. They were intrigued. Maya had given them something they hadn't expected. A vision for the future, one that was bold, ambitious, and undeniably necessary. As the board filed out of the room, Alicia leaned in and whispered, "That was impressive. You've got them hooked." Maya smiled, but her eyes remained focused. "Hooked isn't enough. I need them fully on board. This is just the beginning." A subtle shift. As Maya left the boardroom, her thoughts were already racing ahead to the next steps. She had secured the board's interest, but she knew that transforming the Pinnacle from the inside out would take time, patience, and precision. She wasn't just battling old ideas. She was battling a system that had thrived on exclusion for decades. But Maya was no stranger to long fights. She had been fighting her entire life. And this time, she had the power to make real change. That evening, Maya sat in her penthouse, a glass of wine in hand, as she reviewed the notes from the day's meeting. She had expected pushback, and she had gotten it. But she had also seen glimmers of support, of understanding. Change was coming, and it was happening quietly, but it was happening nonetheless. The Pinnacle Hotel would no longer be a monument to an outdated idea of exclusivity. It would become something more, a beacon of modern success, a place where the best and brightest minds from all walks of life could gather and create. And Maya would be at the helm, steering it into a future that no one else had dared to imagine. As she looked out over the city, her mind turned to the next phase of her plan. The Pinnacle may have rejected her once, but now she was in control. The quiet takeover was complete, and soon the world would know exactly who Maya Holloway was. Breaking the barriers. The sun had barely risen over the city, casting a soft golden hue across Maya's penthouse when she awoke, her mind already buzzing with the possibilities that lay ahead. The board meeting had gone better than expected. She could sense a shift in the air, a glimmer of potential in the eyes of those who had once doubted her. But she knew that true change was not merely a product of persuasion. It required action, determination, and an unwavering commitment to the vision she had set for the Pinnacle. Maya slipped out of bed and walked to the window, gazing down at the city below. The streets were beginning to come alive with the hustle and bustle of morning commuters. In that moment, she felt a rush of excitement and purpose. The Pinnacle would soon be a place where not just the elite gathered, but where diversity was celebrated and innovation thrived. It was more than just a hotel. It was about creating a new narrative. After a quick breakfast, she grabbed her tablet and headed to the Pinnacle for her first day as chairwoman. This was it, the beginning of her journey to reshape the hotel's identity from the inside out. As she stepped through the grand entrance, memories of her previous visit flooded back. The cold reception, the veiled prejudice. It was a stark reminder of why she was there. But today, she was different. Today, she was in control. The new vision. Maya gathered her executive team for a meeting in one of the hotel's opulent conference rooms. The sleek, modern design felt empowering, yet the heavy velvet drapes and ornate chandeliers reminded her of the history they were up against. Alicia joined her at the head of the table, ready to support her as always. The team members filed in, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and uncertainty. Maya could sense their apprehension, They had grown accustomed to the old ways of doing things, to the exclusivity that had characterized the Pinnacle for so long. But today, she was there to lay out a new vision, a vision that would require their support, their creativity, and their willingness to adapt. "Thank you all for coming," Maya began, her voice steady and confident. "Today marks a new chapter for the Pinnacle Hotel. We're not just going to be a luxury destination for the elite. We're going to be a hub for innovation, diversity, and collaboration." She paused, letting her words sink in. "I want us to create spaces within this hotel where emerging leaders, regardless of their background, can come together, share ideas, and build connections. This isn't just about making money. It's about reshaping what luxury means in the 21st century." One of the senior managers, a man named Greg, shifted in his seat. "That sounds great, Maya, but how do we attract these new clients without alienating our existing ones? Our current clientele values exclusivity." Maya smiled, appreciating his concern. "Exclusivity doesn't mean we have to exclude anyone. We can maintain the high standards of service and luxury that our guests expect while also creating new programs and events that welcome a broader audience. Think of it as expanding our definition of who is elite to include innovators, thinkers, and creators who are making a difference in the world." A few murmurs of agreement rippled through the room, and Maya seized the moment to outline her ideas further. She proposed hosting conferences for young entrepreneurs, art exhibitions featuring local talent, and workshops that celebrated diversity in business. The more she spoke, the more she could see her team beginning to warm up to the vision. "Let's also start a mentorship program," Maya continued, her excitement palpable. "We can connect established leaders with up-and-coming talent, creating a pipeline of support that fosters growth and inclusion. This will not only benefit the community but also enhance our brand's reputation." With each new idea, the team's skepticism began to dissipate. They were realizing that this wasn't just about Maya's vision. It was about everyone's future, including their own. The challenge of change. As the meeting wrapped up, Maya felt a surge of optimism. The wheels were turning, and her team was beginning to buy into the vision. But as with any significant change, there would undoubtedly be challenges ahead. Maya knew she had to be prepared to face resistance, especially from those who were deeply entrenched in the hotel's old ways. Over the next few weeks, she began implementing her ideas, starting with the mentorship program. They reached out to local universities, tech incubators, and community organizations, seeking out talented individuals who were eager to learn and grow. To her delight, the response was overwhelmingly positive. People were eager to participate, excited to have an opportunity to engage with a prestigious hotel that was willing to invest in their futures. However, not everyone was on board. Some of the longtime staff members, accustomed to the Pinnacle's traditional ways, were hesitant about the changes. Maya held an open forum to address their concerns, wanting to ensure everyone felt heard. The first session was filled with skepticism. Employees voiced their fears about losing the hotel's identity and the pressure of accommodating new clientele. Maya listened carefully, acknowledging their concerns while reinforcing her commitment to preserving the Pinnacle's reputation for excellence. "I understand that change can be unsettling," she said earnestly, "but we're not throwing out everything that makes the Pinnacle special. We're enhancing it. By welcoming new ideas and perspectives, we're enriching our offerings, not diminishing them." Slowly, the atmosphere shifted. Maya's authenticity and passion began to resonate with her employees. They saw that she wasn't just making changes for the sake of it. She genuinely believed in creating a more inclusive environment that would benefit everyone. A defining moment. As the first mentorship event approached, Maya felt a mix of excitement and nerves. They had secured a prominent guest speaker, an influential entrepreneur known for her commitment to diversity and inclusion. Maya wanted this event to set the tone for the new direction of the Pinnacle. On the day of the event, the hotel buzzed with energy. Attendees from all backgrounds filled the lobby, their laughter and conversations echoing off the marble walls. Maya stood at the entrance, greeting each guest with a warm smile, feeling the pulse of change in the air. The event kicked off with a panel discussion featuring the guest speaker and several successful local entrepreneurs. As Maya watched from the audience, she felt a wave of pride wash over her. This was what she had envisioned, a celebration of talent and a platform for new voices to be heard. After the panel, Maya took the stage to address the crowd. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice steady. "This event is a testament to the power of connection and collaboration. We are not just here to network. We are here to build a community that uplifts and empowers each other." As she spoke, Maya could see the energy in the room. Attendees were engaged, inspired, and ready to take action. It was a defining moment, not just for her, but for the Pinnacle Hotel as a whole. This was a turning point, a tangible manifestation of the change she had fought so hard to implement. The ripple effect. In the weeks that followed, the Pinnacle saw a noticeable shift. The mentorship program gained traction, attracting more participants and fostering relationships between seasoned professionals and newcomers. The hotel became a hub for innovation and creativity, hosting events that celebrated diversity in all forms. But along with the positive changes came challenges. Some longtime clients expressed their dissatisfaction with the hotel's new direction. Maya knew that she had to address these concerns head-on. She organized a series of focus groups, inviting her loyal clientele to share their thoughts on the new initiatives. Maya listened attentively, acknowledging their concerns and reinforcing the idea that the Pinnacle would always remain a place of luxury and exceptional service. "I value each of you as clients," she explained during one of the sessions. "Your loyalty has built this hotel's reputation, and we want to honor that while also adapting to the needs of a new generation. Change doesn't mean losing what you love. It means growing and evolving together." As she continued to engage with her clients, Maya saw a gradual shift in their perceptions. Many began to understand that the changes she was implementing were not only good for the hotel, but also for the community. They started to embrace the idea that a more inclusive environment would ultimately enhance the Pinnacle's reputation. A new era. With every event and initiative, Maya felt more confident in her vision for the Pinnacle. She was not only transforming the hotel, but also changing the narrative around who belonged in spaces like these. Each day brought new challenges, but Maya embraced them as opportunities for growth. As the months rolled on, the Pinnacle Hotel became a symbol of modern luxury, one that celebrated diversity and innovation. The changes Maya had implemented were not just a flash in the pan. They had sparked a movement that resonated far beyond the hotel's walls. One evening, as Maya prepared for another successful event, she paused to reflect on how far she had come. The cold reception she had faced upon her first visit felt like a distant memory. Now she was not just a guest but the chairwoman, an embodiment of resilience, determination, and the belief that everyone deserved a seat at the table. Maya's phone buzzed, interrupting her thoughts. It was a text from Alicia, letting her know that the event was about to begin. She took a deep breath, straightened her blazer, and stepped out onto the bustling floor. As she walked through the crowd, she felt a sense of belonging wash over her. The Pinnacle was more than just a hotel. It was a community, a gathering place for those who dared to dream, innovate, and push the boundaries of what was possible. And Maya knew this was just the beginning. Unforeseen challenges. As the Pinnacle Hotel continued to flourish under Maya Holloway's leadership, the atmosphere within its walls was electric. Events filled the calendar, and the hotel became a sought-after destination for entrepreneurs and creatives alike. Maya had successfully established a reputation that celebrated diversity, innovation, and collaboration. But with success came unforeseen challenges, ones that tested not only her resolve, but the very foundation of what she had built. It was a Wednesday morning when Maya received a call from Alicia. The urgency in her voice sent a ripple of concern through Maya as she leaned back in her plush office chair. "Maya, we need to talk. There's been a significant backlash from some of our long-standing clients," Alicia said, her tone serious. Maya's heart sank. What kind of backlash? Alicia hesitated. Some of our regular guests feel alienated by the new direction. They've expressed concerns about the influx of new clientele and the focus on diversity. They think we're losing our exclusive edge. Maya felt a familiar weight settle in her chest. She had anticipated some resistance, but she hadn't expected such strong feelings from clients who had been loyal for years. "How severe is it?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "Some are threatening to take their business elsewhere, and we're starting to see negative reviews online. We need to address this before it escalates." Maya sighed, running a hand through her hair. The last thing she wanted was to see the hotel she had worked so hard to transform become a battleground for opposing views. "Set up a meeting with our top clients. I want to hear their concerns directly. We need to reassure them that their opinions matter and that we value their loyalty." "Got it. I'll coordinate with the marketing team to prepare for the meeting," Alicia replied, her voice steadier now. "We'll make sure to create an agenda that allows everyone to speak." As they hung up, Maya stared out of her office window, the skyline stretching before her like an unfinished canvas. She had come so far, but this was a crucial moment. A chance to prove that she could bridge the gap between old traditions and new visions. The client meeting. A week later, Maya sat in the grand conference room, a long table spread with refreshments and documents detailing the hotel's recent initiatives. The atmosphere was tense as the room filled with some of the hotel's most influential clients, wealthy business people, and established socialites who had made the Pinnacle their second home. Maya welcomed each guest with a warm smile, but the underlying tension was palpable. As she took her seat at the head of the table, she could sense the apprehension in the air. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice calm but firm. "I appreciate your loyalty to the Pinnacle and your willingness to share your thoughts today. I want this to be a constructive conversation about how we can move forward together." She glanced around the table, taking note of the faces, some familiar, some new. There were a few that looked skeptical, arms crossed defensively, while others appeared curious. Maya knew this was a pivotal moment. An older gentleman named Charles, a longtime client, spoke first. "Maya, we've supported the Pinnacle for years because of its exclusivity. We're concerned that these changes you're implementing are diluting what makes this hotel special." Maya nodded, absorbing his words. "I understand your concerns, Charles. The Pinnacle has a rich history, and I want to honor that. However, I believe that exclusivity can coexist with inclusivity. The world is changing, and our success depends on our ability to adapt." Another client, a prominent socialite named Evelyn, chimed in. "But what about our events? We've built our reputations here. If the hotel becomes more open to everyone, where does that leave us?" Maya leaned forward, her voice earnest. "I'm not suggesting we abandon our core clientele. Rather, I envision a space where we can all thrive, where established leaders can share their wisdom with emerging talent. Imagine hosting exclusive events that combine our existing clientele with new voices. It could be an opportunity for networking and growth." The room buzzed with murmurs of uncertainty. Maya felt the pressure mounting, but she knew she had to keep the conversation constructive. "I want to assure you that our commitment to quality service remains unchanged. We're enhancing the experience, not compromising it." As the discussion continued, Maya listened carefully, addressing concerns with empathy and understanding. She acknowledged their feelings of displacement and reinforced the idea that change didn't mean exclusion. By the end of the meeting, the mood had softened. While some guests were still hesitant, many were intrigued by the possibilities. An unexpected ally. After the meeting, as the clients filtered out, Maya felt a sense of relief. She had faced the concerns head-on and opened the door to dialogue. As she packed up her notes, she noticed Evelyn lingering by the door. "Can we talk for a moment?" Evelyn asked, her expression less guarded than before. "Of course," Maya replied, motioning for her to sit. "I appreciate your honesty in there," Evelyn began, her voice more thoughtful now. I know I came off a bit strong, but I care about this hotel and what it represents. I understand. This place has been a significant part of your life, and I respect that, Maya said sincerely. I want to create a future where the Pinnacle can grow while still honoring its legacy. Evelyn sighed, her expression softening. I'll admit, I was resistant to the changes, but maybe there's something to your vision. If you can promise that the quality of service remains top-notch, I'm willing to give it a chance. Maya smiled, grateful for the shift. Thank you, Evelyn. Your support means a lot, and I'd love to have your insights as we move forward. We can create events that appeal to both our long-standing clients and newcomers, showcasing the best of both worlds. As they discussed ideas, Maya felt the weight of the meeting lift. Building alliances was just as important as tackling challenges head-on. She knew that if she could bring the established clientele on board, they would become her allies in the journey ahead. The ripple of change. The following weeks were busy, filled with planning events that would engage both the new and old clientele. Maya and her team organized exclusive dinners featuring local chefs, art showcases highlighting emerging artists, and business conferences that celebrated innovation and diversity. Each event aimed to bridge the gap between the hotel's rich history and the exciting future she envisioned. Maya also made it a point to connect with the hotel staff, encouraging them to embrace the changes and engage with guests from diverse backgrounds. She held training sessions on inclusivity and customer service, emphasizing the importance of creating a welcoming environment for everyone who walked through the doors. Remember, Maya told her staff during one session, the Pinnacle isn't just a hotel, it's a community. Our guests should feel like they belong here, whether they're a longtime client or a newcomer. As the events kicked off, the energy at the Pinnacle transformed. The hotel buzzed with excitement as guests mingled, shared ideas, and forged new connections. Maya watched as the once segregated space began to feel vibrant and alive. A true representation of the city's diverse tapestry, a moment of triumph. One evening, during a particularly well-attended event showcasing local entrepreneurs, Maya found herself standing at the edge of the crowd, observing the interactions. Laughter and conversation filled the air, and she couldn't help but smile at the sight. This was what she had envisioned, a place where people from all walks of life came together to celebrate creativity and innovation. As the night progressed, Maya was approached by a young entrepreneur who had recently joined the mentorship program. I just wanted to say thank you, he said, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. This program has opened so many doors for me. I never thought I'd have the chance to meet people like this. Maya felt a swell of pride in her chest. I'm so glad to hear that. You're part of the future, and your voice matters. Keep pushing forward. Just then, Alicia joined her, her expression glowing with excitement. Maya, you have to see this, she said, tugging Maya's sleeve. What is it? Maya asked, intrigued. Check the social media buzz. The feedback from tonight's event has been overwhelmingly positive. People are talking about the Pinnacle in ways we've never seen before. Maya pulled out her phone and scrolled through the posts, her heart racing as she read the glowing reviews. Guests were raving about the energy, the sense of community, and the innovative ideas being shared. It was a moment of triumph, a sign that the hard work and determination were paying off. See, Alicia said, beaming. You're making waves, Maya. People are beginning to recognize the Pinnacle for what it truly is, a place of inclusion and innovation. Maya felt a surge of hope and excitement. They had faced challenges, but they had also made significant strides toward reshaping the narrative. The path ahead would still be filled with obstacles, but she was ready to face them. The road ahead. As the event wound down and guests began to leave, Maya stood at the entrance, thanking each person for attending. She felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her, a belief that she was genuinely making a difference. But even in her moments of triumph, she knew there was still work to be done. The backlash from some loyal clients was a reminder that change could be daunting, and not everyone would be willing to adapt. She had to continue engaging with them, demonstrating that their fears were unfounded and that the Pinnacle could thrive in its new form without losing its essence. Maya took a deep breath, her heart full of gratitude and determination. She was just getting started, and with every step, she was forging a new legacy, not just for herself, but for everyone who walked through the doors of the Pinnacle. A legacy reimagined. The vibrant energy of the Pinnacle Hotel had become a familiar rhythm in Maya Holloway's life. Each new event brought a wave of excitement and a chance to foster connections between established leaders and emerging talents. As the weeks passed, the once divided clientele began to see the benefits of the changes Maya had implemented. However, with every success came a lingering concern. Could she maintain this momentum and truly redefine what the Pinnacle represented? One crisp autumn morning, Maya gathered her executive team for their weekly strategy meeting. The air in the conference room was charged with anticipation. The success of recent events had generated considerable buzz, and Maya was determined to keep that momentum alive. "Good morning, everyone," she greeted, her voice steady as she took her seat at the head of the table. "I want to start by acknowledging the hard work everyone has put in over the past few months. The feedback from our events has been overwhelmingly positive, and we're making strides in reshaping the Pinnacle's identity." Alicia, sitting next to her, added, "Our social media engagement has doubled, and we're seeing an increase in bookings from new clientele who appreciate our commitment to diversity and innovation." Maya nodded, but she could sense the weight of the room. "That said, we also need to address the concerns that some of our long-standing clients continue to voice. We can't afford to lose their loyalty, especially as we venture into new territory." The Community Roundtable. Maya had an idea to bridge the gap between the hotel's traditional clientele and the newcomers. She proposed hosting a community roundtable, a gathering where clients could openly discuss their thoughts and feelings about the hotel's direction, fostering understanding and collaboration. By creating a space where everyone feels comfortable sharing their perspectives, we can find common ground, Maya explained. "This isn't just about listening to complaints. It's about engaging in meaningful dialogue." Alicia raised an eyebrow. "Do you think they'll be receptive to that?" "Some of our traditional clients have been pretty vocal about their discomfort with the changes. They might be resistant at first, but I believe that genuine conversation can break down barriers. Plus, we'll have some of our successful mentees present to showcase the benefits of our new initiatives." "That could change the narrative," Maya replied, her determination evident. After discussing the logistics, they settled on a date for the roundtable, and Maya began reaching out to both loyal clients and new participants. She wanted a diverse representation of voices, those who had thrived in the old system and those eager to create a new future. The Roundtable event. As the day of the Community Roundtable approached, Maya felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She knew that this meeting could be a turning point for the Pinnacle, but she also understood that navigating the emotions in the room would require finesse. On the day of the event, the grand ballroom was elegantly decorated, a blend of the hotel's traditional luxury with modern touches that reflected its evolving identity. Guests mingled over coffee and pastries, the atmosphere a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Maya opened the meeting, her voice steady. "Thank you all for joining us today. This is an opportunity for us to engage in an open dialogue about the Pinnacle's future. I want to hear your thoughts, your concerns, your ideas, and your hopes for what this hotel can become." As she spoke, she noticed a few familiar faces, their expressions revealing skepticism mixed with curiosity. Maya knew that genuine change was rarely easy, but she was prepared to face whatever came her way. The first to speak was Charles, the older gentleman who had voiced concerns during the last client meeting. "Maya, I appreciate this initiative. I want to understand how we can keep the Pinnacle as a sanctuary for those of us who value tradition, while also embracing the new." "Thank you for being here, Charles." "That's a valid point," Maya replied. "The Pinnacle has always been a place of refuge for our guests, and I want to ensure that remains true. However, my vision is to expand what refuge means. We can create an environment where diverse voices contribute to our legacy, rather than detract from it. The discussion continued, with voices from both sides sharing their thoughts. Some traditional clients expressed their fears about losing the exclusivity that had defined the hotel, while newcomers shared how empowering it felt to finally be included in spaces that had previously felt inaccessible. One of the mentees, a young black entrepreneur named Jordan, spoke up. "When I first walked into the Pinnacle, I was in awe. I never thought I'd be welcomed in such a prestigious space. This hotel represents possibilities for people like me, and I believe it can honor both tradition and innovation." The room fell silent for a moment, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Maya watched as some of the older clients exchanged glances, their expressions softening. It was a pivotal moment, a reminder that change could lead to new opportunities, breaking down barriers. As the roundtable continued, the conversation deepened. Maya facilitated discussions, encouraging clients to share their visions for the future. Acknowledging both sides, she offered examples of how successful hotels around the world had embraced diversity without sacrificing their identities. "I recently visited a luxury hotel in Paris that has thrived by integrating local culture and art into its offerings," Maya explained. "They've maintained their exclusivity while also inviting fresh perspectives. We can learn from their model." Slowly, the tension in the room began to dissipate. Clients started to see that embracing diversity did not mean abandoning their history. Instead, it could enhance it. The walls of resistance were beginning to crumble, and Maya felt a renewed sense of hope. By the end of the meeting, Maya had fostered a sense of community, a shared understanding that they were all invested in the Pinnacle's legacy. As the guests departed, she felt a wave of relief and satisfaction. They were on the path to bridging the gap, and the roundtable had been a resounding success. A moment of reflection. That evening, as Maya prepared for bed, she reflected on the day's events. The journey hadn't been easy, but the roundtable had offered a glimpse of what could be, a future where the Pinnacle Hotel thrived as a symbol of unity and innovation. However, she also understood that there would be more challenges ahead. Not everyone would be satisfied, and there would be voices that still resisted change. But with each step, Maya felt more prepared to face those challenges head-on. In the weeks following the roundtable, the Pinnacle continued to evolve. The hotel's reputation as a hub for innovation solidified, attracting media attention and new clientele. Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose as she navigated the complexities of running a business that was both a sanctuary for traditional clients and a haven for new voices. Legacy in the making. As the holiday season approached, Maya planned a grand event that would showcase the Pinnacle's transformation. It would be a celebration of unity, diversity, and the future they were building together. Maya envisioned an event where longtime guests could meet the new clientele, where they could share stories and build connections. It was an opportunity to solidify the idea that the Pinnacle was more than just a hotel, it was a community. In the weeks leading up to the event, the anticipation in the air was palpable. Invitations went out to influential figures in the community, entrepreneurs from various industries, and loyal clients who had been with the hotel for years. Each guest was encouraged to bring a plus one, fostering an environment of inclusivity. Finally, the day of the event arrived. The ballroom was adorned with twinkling lights, elegant decorations, and a stage for presentations and performances. Maya took a moment to admire the space before the guests arrived, feeling the surge of excitement and pride. As the evening unfolded, Maya mingled with guests, witnessing the magic of connections being made. Traditional clients found common ground with newcomers, and conversations flowed effortlessly. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter, music, and the promise of a bright future. When it came time for Maya to address the crowd, she stepped onto the stage, her heart racing. "Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate not just the Pinnacle Hotel, but the community we are creating together." She paused, looking out at the sea of faces, some familiar, others new. This hotel has always been a place of refuge and luxury, but we are transforming it into something even more special, a space where innovation, diversity, and collaboration thrive. Together, we are building a legacy that honors our past while embracing the future. The applause that followed was thunderous, a powerful acknowledgement of the journey they had embarked on together. In that moment, Maya knew she was not just redefining the pinnacle, she was leaving a legacy for generations to come. The road ahead. As the event wound down, Maya felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The pinnacle had successfully bridged the gap between tradition and innovation, and she was proud of the community they had built together. But she also knew that this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be filled with challenges and opportunities, and Maya was ready to face them all. With each step, she was determined to keep the momentum alive, ensuring that the pinnacle would remain a symbol of unity, progress, and hope. As she reflected on her journey, from the cold reception she had first faced to the vibrant community that now thrived within the hotel, Maya felt a deep sense of gratitude. She had not only carved out a space for herself, but had also opened doors for countless others, creating a legacy that celebrated diversity and innovation. And with that legacy in mind, she embraced the future with open arms, ready to continue the journey of transformation that would shape the Pinnacle Hotel for years to come.